trying to improve the world is more difficult than making money. You can only measure it if you have a strategy. I set up a foundation to promote this idea of an open society.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Andy Dybala, and in this video, I'm going to showcase to you how George Soros is using his connections with the Blinken family inside the Biden administration to influence the United States and NATO conflict with Russia in Ukraine, so he can collect political risk insurance money on the back end. My slow talking self is going to try and get through this as fast as I can. The Open Society Foundations work with organizations and individuals who seek to address profound racial, economic, and political inequalities while funding efforts to prepare for the policy changes of the future. They've spent billions of dollars worldwide to fund politicians that will push George Soros's political ideologies. In the United States, they use Act Blue to fund Democratic candidates such as Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. We have Joe Biden pictured here with Antony Blinken the day he appointed him the United States Secretary of State on January 26, 2021. Not only is the United States Secretary of State third in line to be president behind Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, he is also the president's chief foreign affairs advisor, meaning he's handling the conflict in Ukraine with Russia. Mir Blinken is a famous Yiddish writer from Ukraine. His grandson is Donald M. Blinken, who is appointed the United States ambassador to Hungary from 1994 to 1997 by Bill Clinton. Hungary is George Soros's home country. Here's a picture of George hanging out with Donald and his wife, Vera Blinken. George actually thinks of Donald so highly that he actually considers him his favorite diplomat. Vera actually has an interesting story. She wrote a book called Vera and the Ambassador, detailing her experience escaping the Nazis from Hungary, fleeing to the United States, trying to find her freedoms. This is the same story as George Soros, because he fled Hungary from the Nazis as well. Vera, Donald, and George started the Vera and Donald Blinken Open Society Archives. It is actually the largest Cold War archives on the planet. It has old Soviet spy network information, medical research, and scientific research relating to chemical weapons. Next will be a video of Donald Blinken thanking George Soros at the opening of the Vera and Donald Blinken Open Society Archives.
We should thank you, not you thank us, because the opportunity for us to leave our papers here and to be associated in the future with Central European University and the Open Society Archives is a great privilege indeed. So we'd like to thank all of you, particularly George Soros. We would not be here at all, any of us, without George.
Although it is a scary thought that George Soros has access to the largest Soviet Cold War archive on the planet, that is not what we're talking about on this video. Now that we've established the connection between the Blinken family and George Soros, how does he plan on using them to his advantage? Let's take you back to Crimea in 2014. Remember the annexation? After the annexation of Crimea in 2014, George Soros wrote an article titled "How the EU Can Save Ukraine." In this article, he stated, offering free political risk insurance to those who invest in or do business with Ukraine is a good way of countering the threat of Putin's Russia. After pushing the European Union and the United States in backing his free political risk insurance campaign, he pledged $1 billion of his own money into Ukraine's business infrastructure. In this article written on March 1st, 2022, the Brunei Union states that political risk insurers have insured between $1 billion and $7 billion in Ukraine over the last 5 years. Now, George Soros stated that he was going to use this money to funnel it to his foundations to keep pushing his political ideologies around the world. Is this why in 2016 Joe Biden asked the special prosecutor to get fired in Ukraine? I'm starting to think so.
I said, I'm not going to, or we're not going to give you the $1 billion. They said, you have no authority. You're not the president. The president said, I said, call him. I said, I'm telling you, you're not getting the $1 billion. I said, you're not getting the $1 billion. I'm going to be leaving here. And I think it was, 6 hours. I looked, I said, I'm leaving in 6 hours. If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money. Oh, son of a bitch. Got fired. And they put in place someone who was solid.
From another hand, it is true that I had some difficult personal relationship with the Miss Ambassador. Unfortunately, from the first meeting with the US Ambassador in Kiev, Miss Ambassador gave me a list of people whom we should not prosecute. And my response was that it is inadmissible. Nobody in this country, neither our president, nor our parliament, nor ambassador, would stop me from prosecuting whether there is a crime.
Now, is George Soros using his connections with the Blinken family to push his political ideologies through the Open Society Foundation? You tell me. At Live with Andy on Twitter, at Live